Hey everyone, welcome back to Panels to Pixels. My name is Josh, and with the first instalment of Spider-Man PS4's The City That Never Sleeps DLC releasing yesterday, it's time to ask the question, is the heist actually any good, and is it worth plonking down the extra cash for? Now, if you've seen my review of the main game, you will know that there are some things about Marvel's Spider-Man that I really love, and some things that I really do not love. But since my two favourite versions of Spidey are the 80s comics by the likes of Roger Stern and John Romita Jr., as well as the 90s Spider-Man animated series, which was my initial gateway to the wonderful world of the Webhead, I was super jazzed to be getting the proper introduction of Black Cat to Insomniac's Spider-Verse.
Spider-Man doesn't want me around. Fine. If he can be a loner, so can the Black Cat.
First of all, let me point out that this is going to be a spoiler-free review, although there really isn't a whole lot to spoil here, and that's because clocking in at around 2 or 3 hours to play through the heist, this is a relatively brief return to Insomniac's New York City, consisting of only a handful of story missions and new open-world activities. The heist's main campaign picks up right where the main game left off. The power vacuum created by the Kingpin's incarceration has led to a coalition between the 5 most powerful crime families in New York. Right off the bat, we are introduced to new enemy types in the form of the Magia Crime Syndicate, which includes a brand new heavy enemy who is equipped with a minigun. Shortly after, we get our first introduction to Felicia Hardy / the Black Cat, as well as a name drop of classic Spidey villain Hammerhead. Gameplay wise, the heist kind of stumbles out of the gate with a particularly uninspired stealth section, followed immediately by another one of those shitting pipe puzzles. This is not how to open up a new chapter. But fortunately, from that point on, things really do pick up. There is another room of enemies to defeat, but with the added wrinkle of having to stop certain enemies escaping with stolen goods, whilst also doing crowd control. It's added an extra dynamic to the already robust and satisfying combat system, and I really appreciated that. As the story progresses, there are some set pieces where the gameplay feels extremely unbalanced. One chase scene in particular sees you doing parkour through the back streets of New York, and it was way too easy to catch up with the person you were chasing, to the point where you were bumping into them but unable to apprehend them due to the scripted nature of the sequence. Just grab them, Spidey, they're right there. But then the chase moves underground onto the subway and they are off like a scalded cock. You're suddenly left trailing behind, web zipping through tunnels in an area that is very poorly designed and honestly just a little frustrating. In terms of the new open world activities, we get new screwball challenges because, sure, why not? Plus new crimes to stop, with the Magia family adding in some new gameplay elements such as the reintroduction of the Spider-Bot to defuse bombs. But the real star of the show is the new collectible hunts, which, as somebody who voraciously lapped up every backpack before I was even partway through the main game's story, I am very happy about. Any excuse to keep swinging around New York is a welcome addition in my eyes, and this doesn't disappoint. So what about those new suits? I know this is a contentious issue and it comes down to personal preference. A lot of fans were disappointed not to see fan favourites such as the Raimi suit or the original Spider armour. Personally, I can take or leave the 3 new suits included in this DLC. I was neither disappointed or hyped, to be honest. I actually quite like the new Resilience suit, which has been designed specifically for the game, although I will say that this game's overabundance of shiny, armoured Spidey suits doesn't really do it for me. I would love to see some more classic, comic book, cloth-based suits added in future DLC. Again, there's not much I can say about the story without spoiling things, but as somebody who felt the main game story played everything a bit too safe with few surprises, I actually found the heist story to be much more engaging with more twists and turns, and a greater sense of risk. Listen, I know I'm in the minority here, but while Otto's descent into madness was particularly well portrayed, the inevitability of it left me growing frustrated and just a bit bored. Here though, a dangling plotline from Spidey and Felicia's saucy past, which causes tension between Peter and MJ and raises the stakes of the battle against Hammerhead's goons, kept me playing on to the end. But speaking of Hammerhead, Marvel's Spider-Man continues to be stingy with its villains, despite having access to the greatest rogue gallery in all of Marvel Comics. We get name drops and a few cameo appearances, but there isn't a single boss battle in this DLC chapter, and honestly, it could really use one, especially since the boss battles were so sparse in the main game's campaign. Is there a drought on Spidey's villains or something? Why are they being rationed out like this? Given the introduction of a major character like Black Cat, I can overlook this, but I hope we get some bigger fights and blockbuster set pieces in future installments. At this point, I'm reminded just how great Yuri Lowenthal is in the role of Peter Parker / Spider-Man. I don't think I gave him enough credit in my review of the main game because I was too busy making jokes about being constipated, but his performance really brings the character to life and does justice to dialogue which, in less capable hands, could elicit groans from players. We also get some updates on the changes in Miles Morales and Peter's relationship since the post-credit scene of the main game, plus some new episodes of Just the Facts with J. Jonah Alex Joneserson. All in all, I think I actually enjoyed this bite-sized story quite a bit more than the main game. I feel that the shorter runtime wasn't plagued by the same pacing issues of the main campaign, and made the smaller scale stuff like puzzles and stealth sections with MJ a lot more palatable. I do think the absence of a proper boss fight weighs heavily on the feeling of the heist being an incomplete story, and this isn't helped by the fact that this chapter ends on a whopping cliffhanger. It's actually handled really well though, and has left me more excited for the next installment than I was for this one. Leave the crowd wanting more, I guess. Ultimately, when I think about the price of this DLC at £15.99 or $24.99, I think the City That Never Sleeps expansion offers really great value for money. As an old school guy, I really kind of despise DLC culture in general, and lament the fact that with some titles it feels as though you're not buying the full game at launch anymore. But whatever, that's the way the industry is going, and me throwing a tantrum isn't going to change that. All that being said though, I think this is the best possible way to do DLC, and despite my qualms with the main game, I have a lot of respect for Insomniac as a developer who are mindful of their fans and consumers. Rather than having a billion different add-ons like new skins and challenge packs, it's all put together into a nice, streamlined package that offers a lot of bang for its buck. To put it simply, if you loved Marvel Spider-Man on PS4, you will almost certainly love the Heist DLC. Is it just more of the same? Sure, but if it ain't broke. Is it worth the price of admission? Absolutely. And has it left me clamouring to find out what happens next? You bet your ass it has. Thank you for watching this video. You can now support the show on Patreon by clicking the link on screen or by going to patreon.com/panels2pixels. I want to thank Diego Rivera, who is the first person to support the channel at the Maximum Carnage tier. Honestly, you are just the coolest. If you want to see more stuff like this, you should definitely subscribe to Panels to Pixels. Don't forget to give that bell icon a little ring-a-ding-ding, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.